You're completely wrong about time. Not a little off, not missing nuance. Wrong in the way someone is wrong when they think a map is the territory. Wrong in the way a kid is wrong when he thinks the number on a speedometer is a force pushing the car forward. You think time is this thing that flows, a river, a conveyor belt, a cosmic current dragging you into the future while the past piles up behind you like trash bags. That picture is seductive. It's also a trap. Because the moment you picture time as a thing that moves, your brain stops asking the only question that matters. What are you actually measuring? And the second you stop asking that, you start worshiping a metaphor. So, I'm going to do to your intuition what I once did to physics. I'm going to be cruel to the story you love. I'm going to break the pretty lie. You've heard it 1,000 times. Time is like a river. It flows. It carries you. You can't step in the same river twice. Beautiful, soft, comforting. Here's the problem, and it's fatal. A river only flows because you compare two positions at two different times. Motion is defined using time. So when you say time flows, you're using time to define time. That's not poetry. That's circular nonsense. If time is a river, how fast does it flow? 1 second per second. Meaningless. And if it's really flowing, through what does it flow? Don't dodge it. Answer it. Space? Then you'd need time to describe that movement. Through itself? Then you're back to the snake eating its own tail. Your brain loves the river because your brain loves stories with direction. Your brain needs arrows. Your brain needs a forward. It wants a current. It wants a villain. It wants time to be the thief. But time isn't a thief. Time is a label you keep confusing for a monster. Now do a simple experiment, not a laboratory experiment, a you and your brain experiment. Close your eyes and count to 10. Do it clean. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Now do it again, but this time hold your breath. Now do it again, but this time picture something embarrassing you did 5 years ago. Now do it again, but this time listen to a fast song and tap your foot. Your 10 seconds just mutated. Your internal clock stretched, shrank, tripped, rushed, dragged. And here's the point. Nothing flowed differently out there. The universe didn't change gears because you got anxious. The second didn't become shorter because you remembered your cringe moment. The only thing that changed was your attention, your memory, your body. So, if your experience of time changes with mood, with breath, with fear, with boredom, then what exactly is that experience? It's not time itself. It's your brain's meter. It's your brain doing bookkeeping with a shaky hand. You've been mistaking the handwriting for reality. You want a second experiment? Fine. Shorter, but sharper. Think about a childhood summer. It felt endless. Now think about last month. It vanished. Same objective hours, different subjective weight. That isn't time changing. It's your recording system changing. Now stop. Shift gears. I do not care how time feels to you. Feelings are cheap. They're vivid, but they're unreliable. Show me the measurement. That obsession shaped my whole way of thinking. In my 20s, when people still wanted atoms to behave like tiny solar systems, I pushed an idea that felt almost rude. Physics should talk about what you can actually connect to experiments, what you can actually read off instruments, not about invisible bedtime stories. And that's precisely why a meeting in Berlin still matters to this day. After I gave a lecture on the new quantum mechanics, a famous older man approached me and pressed the knife into the soft part of my argument. He asked me, essentially, "Are you telling me the electron's motion is inherently unknowable? We can see particle tracks in cloud chambers." It was a fair attack, it was sharp, and I didn't have a clean answer yet. That question did not leave me alone, because it exposed something human. The mind wants a path, a smooth line, a story, a river. But the world does not owe you smooth lines. A cloud chamber doesn't hand you a perfect trajectory carved into the fabric of reality. It gives you a sequence of droplets, little events, condensing as a charged particle passes, a dotted trace. And your brain, your hungry pattern-making brain, connects the dots and declares, triumphantly, a path. You see the trick? You do the same thing with time. You don't observe time. You observe events, changes, states, heartbeats, sunrises, the kettle whistle, a message notification, a blink, a breath. Then your brain draws a smooth river through those droplets and calls it flow. It's the same trick, and it's the same mistake. So let's define time the way a physicist has to define it if he wants to stay sane. Not as a spirit, not as a river, not as a vibe, operationally. Time is what clocks measure. A clock is any system that repeats something reliably so you can count it. An oscillation, a cycle, a stable beat in matter. Time is the number you assign when you compare changes to that repeating process. It's a coordinate, a label that tells you where an event sits in an ordered sequence. That's it. No magic, no river, just bookkeeping. And this is where almost everyone commits the same language crime. You talk as if time acts. Time made me forget. Time healed me. Time destroyed it. Time will tell. No. Time doesn't do anything. Time is the column where you write down when something happened. Saying time did it is like saying inches built the house. Inches don't build. Carpenters build. Inches just tell you where the walls are. Time is the ruler, not the worker. Now here's where your intuition starts to bleed, because you've been quietly worshiping one more hidden assumption. You assume there's one universal clock, one master metronome in the sky, one cosmic now that everybody shares, everywhere. That's the secret religion of everyday life. Relativity murders it. Not with philosophy, with measurement. Put a precise clock in a different gravitational field, it ticks differently. Put it in motion relative to you, it ticks differently. Time is not a single sheet laid over the universe, it's stitched into the way you move through space and gravity. This is not science fiction. We correct for it in technology. GPS satellites are not just maps in the sky. They are clocks you interrogate. And those clocks would drift into uselessness if you didn't correct for relativity. The net effect is about 38 microseconds per day. That number looks tiny until you realize light travels about 300 meters in 1 microsecond. Let those errors accumulate and your "where am I" becomes somewhere else. So stop saying time flows the same for everyone. It doesn't. There is no universal river. There are only clocks following paths through space-time, and those paths are not identical. Think of it like this. You and your friend drive from the same city to the same destination, but you take different routes. One route is a smooth highway. The other is mountain roads. Your odometers don't match, not because odometers are subjective, but because the paths were different. Time is like that odometer. The time you experience, your proper time, is the tick count along your path. Different paths through motion and gravity, different tick counts. The universe doesn't owe you a single synchronized now. Your brain wants one because it wants simplicity. Reality prefers consistency. And now, if you're honest, you feel the next thought rising in you like a defense mechanism. Okay, fine. Time depends on motion and gravity. Fine. But the universe is still a machine. If we knew enough, we could predict everything, right? That was the old dream, the clockwork dream. The universe as a perfect engine. If you knew the position and velocity of every particle, you could calculate the future like a spreadsheet. The future would be a page already written. Time would just be the mailman delivering it. That dream died in my hands. Not because I wanted to be dramatic, because the structure of nature demanded it. When I finally expressed the uncertainty principle, it wasn't a slogan about measurement being hard. It was a statement about what can and cannot be said simultaneously with arbitrary precision. Certain pairs of quantities, like position and momentum, refuse to be nailed down at the same time beyond a limit. And this is where you need to be careful, because your intuition will try to turn uncertainty into a comforting excuse. You will say, "So we just don't know enough." No. It's not just ignorance, it's not a missing microscope, it's not a lack of patience. It's a limit baked into the way the world lets you ask questions. Measurement is not passive, it's an interaction, a cost, a trade. To learn where something is, you must interact with it in a way that disturbs how it moves. To learn how it moves, you must interact with it in a way that smears where it is. The more you sharpen one, the more the other blurs. If you're still imagining tiny billiard balls with hidden, perfectly defined properties, you're still living inside the bedtime story. The universe is not obligated to give you the story you prefer. And here's why this matters for time, even if you don't see it yet. Because the same hunger that makes you demand a perfect particle path is the hunger that makes you demand a perfect timeline. You want the future to be a straight corridor. You want the present to be a razor-thin now. You want the past to be a fixed shelf. You want time to be a machine belt carrying reality forward in an orderly row. But at the quantum level, the future is not always a single corridor. It's a spread of possibilities with weights. It's a distribution, a menu, not a guaranteed script. You don't uncover the future like a secret page. You realize it through interactions. And do not twist that into mysticism. This is not me whispering, "Your thoughts create reality." This is me telling you something colder and more brutal. The classical fantasy of a perfectly knowable present that guarantees a perfectly knowable future is not available, even in principle. That's the real violence. And the man who challenged me hardest on this point was the same man who had already shattered common intuition about space and time with relativity. Ironies are everywhere. He did not mind probability when it was the result of ignorance. He could accept statistics like a practical engineer, but he resisted the idea that the world might be fundamentally statistical. He kept trying to trap the new theory in thought experiments. He kept sharpening his logic like a blade. And again, the blade hit the same stone. The limits were real. When he said, "God does not play dice," he wasn't just being dramatic. He was defending a worldview where the universe is a deterministic clock, and time is the rigid rail the clock runs on. But the rail isn't rigid, and the clock is not classical. Now, here's the next trap. You hear probability, and you immediately think of your own confusion, like rolling dice because you don't know the forces exactly, like a coin toss because you're too lazy to calculate air resistance. That's not what this is. Quantum probability isn't just about what you fail to track. It's about what the world refuses to offer as a single definite story before interaction, which means the future is not simply waiting behind the curtain as a fixed object in time. The future is, in a sense, under negotiation, not by your wishes, by the physical structure of measurement and interaction. So where does that leave time? It leaves time stripped of its mystical job. Time is not a conveyor belt delivering predestination. Time is the coordinate system you use to label sequences of events, events that, at the smallest scales, cannot always be treated as a single, smooth, deterministic film. Now we reach the part that sounds philosophical, but it's actually mechanical. Why does time feel like it has a direction? Why don't you remember the future? Why doesn't spilled milk leap back into the glass? Because of entropy. Don't flinch. It's not a spell. It's bookkeeping again. Entropy is a way of counting how many microscopic arrangements correspond to the same macroscopic appearance. Order has few arrangements. Mess has vastly more. So systems naturally drift toward states that can be realized in many more ways, not because time pushes them, but because there are simply more ways to be messy than neat. Imagine a deck of cards perfectly sorted by suit. That is rare. Now shuffle it. Random order is common. You can shuffle into a mess a million ways. You can't shuffle into perfect order by accident, except through an absurd miracle. That's entropy. And entropy is what makes the world leave records. A memory is a physical record. A photograph is a physical record. A fossil is a physical record. A scar is a physical record. Your brain is a record-making machine. It compresses change into traces. And the direction you call time's flow is the direction in which records accumulate. You don't remember the future because the future has not left physical traces in your brain yet. You don't see the milk jump back because that would require an unimaginably coordinated reversal of trillions of molecular motions into a rarer arrangement. Time doesn't force the mess. The statistics do. The universe isn't being pushed forward like a cart. It is falling into the overwhelmingly more common configurations while leaving footprints you can read as past. Now, return to your first experiment. Counting to 10 with your eyes closed, you thought you were measuring time. You weren't. You are measuring the rhythm of your attention, and attention is not a stable clock. It's a spotlight that flickers. When you're bored, you scan more, you notice more, you sample more often. The 10 seconds contain more internal droplets, more mental events, so it feels longer. When you're engaged, you sample less consciously. You lose track. Your brain is busy compressing. Fewer droplets make it into awareness. It feels shorter. That's why fear can slow time. Not because the universe changed its tick rate, but because your brain increased its frame rate, storing more detail per second. Your dashboard went into emergency mode. Your time experience is not a raw sensor. It's an edited film, and you keep mistaking the edit for the clock. This is the hidden lesson I want you to swallow. Your intuition about time is built out of memory, attention, and expectation. It is built out of how you record change, not out of the structure of time itself. You don't feel time, you feel your own bookkeeping. So here's the final reconstruction, and I want you to feel how different it sounds from your old river. Time is not what moves. Time is what you write down when things move. Time is the numbering system your universe uses to keep track of change. Time doesn't push the world forward. The world changes, and time is the coordinate you assign to that change. Your experience of time is a psychological dashboard, not the engine. Your metaphors are a comfort blanket, not a measurement device. And the strangest part, the part that should expand your world, is this. There is no single master clock. There are only clocks. There are only records. There are only paths through reality that accumulate ticks at different rates, while entropy makes the past readable and the future unwritten. So stop picturing a river. Picture a ledger. Picture a GPS timestamp. Picture gears clicking, counting cycles, while you mistake the clicking for a force. Picture a deck of cards being shuffled into mess while you try to remember the original order. You want a definition you can't unsee? Here it is. Time is the price tag you attach to change so you can compare it. Time is the numbering system you use to keep track of transformation. Time is not what moves. Time is what you write down when things move. And if you're still clinging to the river, ask yourself one final question that should sting. If time is the current, why can different clocks disagree? Because the current is not real. The clocks are. So here's the last hammer, and I want it to land like a door slamming. Time doesn't flow, time doesn't steal, time doesn't heal, time doesn't kill, time doesn't act, time records. And the line you should carry out of here, the one that destroys the old illusion without replacing it with mysticism, is this. Time doesn't flow. You do.